Hello, this is a tutorial for all the stamps in canoeing. This is a very hard sport and there are not many resources online to how to best get them, so I thought I would change that. Here is the duckling minigame. I will show off the best route to optimize for in-game time. But first, I wanted to tell you a couple of tips to help you get better very quickly. The biggest one is that you should grab the controller from the top, not the bottom. I see many people grabbing the remote from close to the bottom where the 1 and 2 buttons are, while you should actually grab it from the D-pad. You will see that after doing that, your runs will immediately improve. Another thing that is important is that, as you see in the video, your paddles should be kind of slow but very deep, instead of being fast but very shallow. Helps to get momentum. Here is the first duckling. You want to get this one first because it is the farthest one away. So if you grab one other duckling and then you come here, you lose time. The in-game timer only starts when you grab the first duckling, so coming here first is very good. You want to get very deep into the yellow buoy area, the out of bounds you may say, because the duckling is very far out of bounds as well, and sometimes it has a hard time seeing the player. Here you see that he goes very deep in, and the ducklings inside. The ducklings have eyes, and they use that to see, which is actually not super intuitive once you're starting out. They can only see what is in front of them. You saw that this run waited a bit at the start. That is because the ducklings actually move around, and you want to catch them when they are moving towards you, so they can see you better. At this part there is not a lot to explain, but this duckling can sometimes be very hard to get, because it's in the middle of the reeds, so its vision is obstructed. The best thing you can do to guarantee you touch it is actually touching it with your paddle, so it's forced to see you. Here you see that he doesn't do that, but it sees him anyways, because part of his canoe actually clipped into the reeds a bit. That's not very good because it drops your speed, but here it is so small, it doesn't really matter. You can also do that to 100% guarantee you get this duck. Then you just wanna move straight ahead to grab this duckling. So you wanna be careful to not hit the the brown barrels, because if you hit them, then all your ducklings will go off and you will not see them again. This is another duckling that is hard to get because it's so far away and in the middle of reeds. But after you get it, you just want to stick to the right. Until you see the 8th duckling after you make that big turn. Then you want to start moving back left. There is another duckling right in that brown barrel to the left. You don't want to get too close to the barrel, so you can go to this duckling. Here we will see a movement technique that is not very well known, because it's only really useful in this mode, the duckling minigames. It's never really used in the races. Here you will see that you can stick your paddle to the water and you will start turning sharply in that direction. It is useful here because you need to make such a tight turn to go to Mama Duck and drop off the stray duckling. This is the best route to optimize for in-game time. Here you see he gets a time of 1:38. But in real time it's kind of slow, because you need to wait around a minute before starting. So I will show off the best route for real times. This is the real time route for the duckling minigame. This only really matters if you're a speedrunner. If you're not, you can just skip this part. This route is about 20 seconds slower or 30 seconds slower than the in-game time route, but it's about 40 seconds faster in real time, that you can see it in the left. First you grab that duckling that's very close to Mama Duck, and this will come into play later on at the very end. Then you need to grab this duckling, which is very problematic, because you need to make this tight turn, and you also need to get him to see you, which can sometimes be challenging. This run is not as optimized as the in-game time route. you'll see that there are some small time losses, but we're pretty sure that the route is still the best. Here you want to go to the inverse direction to where you start from the in-game time route. You want to get the duckling that's deep out of bounds and then go straight ahead to grab the duckling that is between the other three barrels, that is close to the one between the reeds. Here you see that to guarantee that the duckling sees the player, he simply gets inside the reeds, which loses time, but as you can see, it absolutely guarantees that the duckling sees you, because you actually touch it with the canoe. If you touch a duckling with a canoe, then he has no option but to go alongside you. Here we do the same trick of going a bit to the right, then turning left. Though this time the runner actually turns left a bit later, because the duckling is not in the best position, because there was no cycle manipulation. Once again, we turn to the right, and once you finish doing this sort of 180-degree turn, you turn to the left to grab this duckling. Now we're on to the final one, which is in this barrel. Luckily, it is in a good position. Instead of turning to the right like in the in-game time route, you directly go to Mama Duck. Now, on to beginner. This stage is the easiest to get the red tape on by far, but you can go much further if you know what you're doing. First, you want to sort of take a straight line towards the corner, where you want to turn left. It's actually very easy to go too far to the left beforehand. To mitigate this, I would recommend doing paddles that are a bit shallow on the right side and deeper paddles on the left side. But here, the player sort of does this, where he takes a bit of a pause before doing the right side paddles. And you can see he even was too far to the left. Here it's a bit easy. Now you just need to turn left. This part is also harder than it seems, because you want to stick very close to the buoys, but it is very often that you'll crash against the reeds that are around here where I'm marking with my cursor. You just want to turn very far to the left by doing quick paddles to the right. I know previously I said you want to do deep but slow paddles, but here you want to do them a bit quicker. You will see that the me is sweating, and this sort of indicates that you're going too fast, but in this case it is a positive thing. Now let's see it again in normal motion. Now you want to stick a bit to the left and then make a sharp turn to the right to cut the corner as tightly as possible. Again, there is a reed that you may hit if you don't do this. Now you sort of do the same thing, where you are a bit farther to the right than you may expect and turn left. Here is a geyser that will have an effect on your canoe, as you will see shortly. You need to play around it. You need to do 4 paddles to the left overall. Here you see, I turned a bit back, but you'll be able to see that he does 3 paddles to the left, then one right, then one left, but it's overall 4. And then you want to turn sharply to the right. You actually want to catch the buoys, the yellow buoys that are in the corner, because they make you turn way tighter, because they try to push you out. Once you're past the red tape, you simply need to go as far as possible to increase your high score. You just need to go in a straight line. As I said, this is the easiest to get the red tape on, but it's not so easy to optimize. It is possible to get 360 yards here, but it's very rare. You'll need a lot of practice for that. But something else you'll need a lot of practice on is getting the intermediate red tape. Now, on to intermediate. In my opinion, this is the hardest red tape to get, and it's all thanks to the fishes. The fishes can make you boost, they can make you go faster, or they can pull you back. Your entire game is revolving around the fishes. You want to get as many boosts from them as possible. It is simply not possible to get this red tape if you don't use the fishes appropriately. Here you will see the best route to do this because it's not very easy to find the best way to use the fishes. Like the ducks, they go in cycles. So you need to be fast enough to catch the fishes when they are moving forward. Or you want to be so fast that the fishes are not even on your path, depending on the situation. Here at the beginning, we will see one of the most important strategies in intermediate, which is called right side. Here, there is a big reed patch, and you need to go around it. Generally, people tend to go to the left side, but it's actually much faster to go to the right side. However, there's a fish, which you can see around my cursor, which blocks your path. But to avoid it, you actually need to go pretty far left, almost as if you're gonna go to the left side, then make a sharp turn to the right. As you can see, this wastes a bit of time, but it makes it so the fish is far to the right, and it puts you pretty far to the left. So you do not hit the fish and do not lose time due to him. Now you just need to stabilize and go on a straight path. Here is a fish, and it is very good to gauge your pace. If you went so slow that you could boost off of the fish so that it made you go forward, then you know you're probably too slow already and you may just reset. But here you can see that the fish is not even on view. So you know this is a very good pace, you're going fast. Here is a pretty tough turn between the reeds. You just need to position yourself correctly. There's unfortunately not much to say. If you see that you're not going to make it, you can stop paddling for a bit. But you want to turn very tightly towards the right. You sort of want to go in a straight line just before the reeds and then start turning very sharply to the right. Here you can see that the canoe will pretty much be directly facing to the right when you make the turn. You want to do this to cut the corner very tightly. And then you need to make a very small paddle towards the left. You need to make a very small paddle in the right side. Any paddle you make will make your canoe turn a lot because it is very far to the right. It's facing very far right. So any right side paddle will make it turn to the left very sharply. So your paddle needs to be a lot shallower than normal. Here you can see it's very shallow. Now you need to catch this fish to the left. You don't want to be very close to the round barrel. You actually want to be pretty far right. Here you can see the boost is directly forward. But if you're closer to the barrel, the boost will instead be to the left. And you will hit these reeds instead, which is obviously not good. There is a fish around here, but you actually don't want to catch it. The fish you want to catch is the one that is here. You sort of use the same trick of being farther right than you may expect, so you get ejected on a straight line. Here is another fish that you can use to gauge your pace. If you're on a good pace, he will be pretty far right when you're about to make the turn and he won't hit you. Otherwise, he may be closer to the front and may hit you instead, which is not good. Here in the video there's actually a slight mistake because the fish is boosting him to the back. So he's losing a bit of time. You actually want to be a bit farther left. It was not going to be visible because I paused the video in the wrong time. But now we can simply go back and you'll see how he loses a bit of speed. After that you just need to turn sharply to the left and you want to stay on the left side throughout this entire thing because the fishes will not hit you. Here, in the turn to the right, you want to be as close to the right as possible without being hit by the fishes that come over here. This will depend a lot on your pace and on experience, so you'll just need to play a lot and you'll naturally develop the skill of avoiding the fishes. Here is the final part, and it is very hard because you need to make a very sharp turn to the right. But there is this brown barrel that is in front of our way. You want to go to the right of it. So we do tricks similar than the one that we used in beginner, where you are a bit farther left than you expect, and then sharply turn towards the right. So you can clear this brown barrel. It's a lot harder than it seems. Once you clear the red line, you can boost off of these fishes, but it's not very common and it doesn't really matter. Optimizing this stage will depend a lot on how good your fish boosts are. Sometimes they will push you straight forward, but sometimes they will push you a bit to the side, which is not good. In the end, you also want to catch the fishes, so you want to be close to the center, but that's pretty difficult to do after a very hard run. Now, on to expert. Now, on to expert. This is quite difficult as well, just a tiny bit easier than intermediate in my opinion. Here, instead of fishes, you have geysers, which you can see all around here. They have a similar effect in your canoe. They can either boost you forwards or they can pull you back. They will push you forwards if you're ahead of them because they sort of make ripples in the water. They will pull you back if you go through them from behind. There will also be a couple meteors. There are a ton of things in this stage, so let's just get right to explaining it. At the beginning, you already have a decision to make. You can go to the right, where the geyser is, or to the left. The both options are very similar. I would strongly recommend going left. Going to the right is a tiny bit faster, maybe 0.1 seconds, but it is also much, much harder. So it's really not worth it in my opinion. It's very rare to save time with that. So you can simply go left, which is much simpler. You will just stick very close to the right brown barrel. You can actually paddle pretty far towards the right. You can make a ton of left paddles because the geyser will push you to the left because you're to the left side of it. Here you will see something similar. You can make a ton of right paddles because the geyser will push you to the right. And here again. Here is the first actual hard turn because you want to move to the left, but the geyser will push you towards the right. So you want to be a bit far right to it and then make a ton of right paddles. So you make it through. Here we have the first meteor. You sort of want to line yourself up in a straight line, and just before the meteor fires itself, you want to make a ton of paddles towards the left. Here you can see that you sort of line yourself up in a straight line, maybe even a bit to the right, and then you make a ton of right paddles. So you start facing left. There is a very strong ripple, and it will push you to the right. So you want to be facing a bit left by making right paddles. Then you want to keep on going with the right paddles. Now you have another option, or another decision to make. You can either go to the left of the brown barrels, or you can go between them. Going between them is what we will see here, which is faster by like 0.5 seconds maybe. But it is not easy at all. Going to the left is much simpler, and it's a perfectly reasonable option. To go through the barrels, there's unfortunately not much I can say. It depends a ton on your positioning, and you will need to get better with experience. Which is why going to the left side is much easier. There is not so much things going on. If you do go through them, you kind of want to stick towards the corner, and you may choose to go through a couple buoys to make your turn a bit tighter. Here, you yes or yes need to go through these brown barrels. This is also much harder than it seems, and it requires a ton of experience. Most of the time, you'll hit this brown barrel right here with your backside. So to avoid this, you want to stick very close to the left, because as you can see, the geyser makes you turn towards the left, so the backside turns towards the right. Here you can see it in action. You see how it turns a bit towards the right, and you barely don't hit the brown barrel. Here is a simple part, you just need to go in a straight line. But here you want to make more left paddles than normal, because the geyser pushes you towards the left. Here the same. Right paddles, because the geyser turns you towards the right. Now you simply need to go through these reeds, but now you have this geyser over here. You want to be pretty far right, so you can use it to boost yourself. Here you see how you can go way faster than normal due to the geyser. And here again, you'll need to do many right paddles to stick close to the left because the geyser turns you to the right. But the geysers are very good. They help you maintain your speed. Here you simply go through the brown barrels and start turning left. Here is a very tricky part because you need to make a tight turn to the left, and then a tight turn towards the right, and then a tight turn towards the left again. So you want to make many right paddles and then quickly straighten yourself around the 420 meter mark or the 420 yard mark, depending on what version you're using. Want to go on a bit of a straight line, then make a couple paddles towards the right, and then start paddling very hard towards the left. The geyser here is your friend, it'll help you a bit. Here the geyser is sort of your enemy instead. It'll push you to the right, and you want to go to the left instead. Here you have another decision to make. You can go between these brown barrels, or you can go to the right side. This depends a ton on your momentum and positioning. It's ideal to go towards the left, for a reason we'll see shortly, but if you go to the right, it's perfectly alright. This geyser from over here is good. You can use it to boost yourself, which is why you want to go to the left. But here we will see how to go to the right, because it's a bit easier. The geyser doesn't bother you, you simply need to go through the brown barrels. Then you simply need to make your way forward to increase your score. And there you go. That is the expert red tape, and in tandem, every red tape. They are very tricky, but I hope this video helps you. By using the right strategies and not even improving at the game, you may improve your score by 30 or 40 yards if you're lucky. However, even with the best routes in the world, you'll need to practice. So don't expect to immediately get the red tapes by watching this video. But I hope it helps either way and that you can achieve your resort goals.